acid spray.
Yeah, yeah.
It sucks playing Radiance carries against Nyx.
I like what the Outblast, he kept turning his Radiance off whenever the Morph came near him to stop the Replicate getting the Radiance damage. That was really, really cool play. Just got enough farm with Radiance. Turn it off while you're farming so you don't get ganked by Nyx. No.
XXS is really good with Nyx assassin too. I think he's sets up a lot of things for their team right now. So OG, how do they want to protect their Alchemist?
Get a fighting core.
Fighting core?
That's a fighting core.
Is this core or support?
Can go either way.
You guys think core Venge?
Unlikely, I would say, but
Yeah,
that's a lot of physical damage.
That's what we just saw, the core Venge with Alkin. You think Alk greedy late game, but you get a core Venge with an Alk who gets like a decent Radiance Manta timing, you can suddenly 5-man with this. That's the exact 2 heroes Newbie had in their Game 3 draft.
It was, yeah.
With the Abaddon.
Yep.
They can actually kill the Lifestealer too during Reach with Venge.
Yes.
That's one of the things I like most about Vengeful Spirit.
Yeah, Visage very good against Lifestealer. Natural Solar Crest builder, which is going to make it hard for Lifestealer.
What type of hero do you feel like S4 needs this game from OG? What does their offlaner needs to do? Because I don't think that he's not going to get any help.
They've got some
support?
catch for Tinker already with Venge Visage, I feel, so they don't have to get like a clock type hero. Like we talked earlier about Clock Nyx, but I think that's not like a necessity anymore. If you want to go for like something like the Abaddon, it could work. But Abaddon versus Lifestealer,
so,
yeah.
They
not
would
terrible, not great.
Sick Roche potential though.
No, they've also gone a lot for Enigma. Is that still a possibility here?
Enigma?
Yeah.
First band, actually.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Otherwise, yes, I like Enigma versus Lifestealer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a Crystal Maiden.
But S4's played a lot of different heroes, seen Legion Commanders, seen Enigmas,
seen Axe.
Axe, yeah. Axe versus Lifesteal's fine.
And it's decent versus Tinker as well, actually.
Clock though.
They go for
get
clock
more
anyway.
catch, okay.
Clockwork mentioned early on, very early on, in fact, when the Tinker came out.
Yeah, we got the Flare for the Vision. They got the Birds, of course, as well.
Yeah, Storm loses a lot of value because you're against Nyx, and then Nyx was already picked, and it's also not good versus Lifestealer. So yeah, I think Clock is the best one versus Tinker that was left.
Yeah, it kind of goes down to whether they want to get a hero good versus Tinker or Lifestealer.
He's the best mix of both, I think.
Yeah,
he's really good versus both.
Yep. Seeing the draft now, do you lean more towards Alk in the mid or safe lane, Ben?
I have no idea. Because I don't know what he's going to be matched up against. I guess Nyx, that's a super easy lane for Alk.
Yeah.
Do you even want Alk to go the Radiance build this game? I suppose so.
I think he'd stick with it.
He has good axe carriers. You can also just go right click because they have a lot of minus armor. I think like Venge and then presumably Visage is going to get a Solar Crest.
Yeah.
So you can just go right click build. You don't need the Radiance because that's way worse versus Nyx.
It's still just one hero. Like I feel
That's
like
true.
It's not like Nyx is going to single-handedly destroy your game. I mean, he could. We don't. Who knows how? Like XSS has had some great performances, but I think you maybe just play out with the philosophy like, hey, we're going to get ahead, farm well, and it doesn't matter if he gets stunned with the Radiance.
Yeah, when has he not gotten Radiance?
Yeah. The old OG used to do that back like around Frankfurt times, but those were different days.
Seems like OG is expecting that Nyx Assassin to be for Baboka. They banned out Legion Commander for HSS.
Yeah, I thought Legion was going to be the pick for the offlane earlier before the Nyx because it's just such a strong laning hero and allows the supports to roam. But offlane options kind of limited with the Legion ban, at least top tier offlaners.
I think they need more burst.
Oh!
Nice Stalker. That's a way to catch out Tinker.
Yeah.
That's a...
They've gone full anti-Tinker with this draft.
Oi. I mean, they were probably they were expecting a Tinker, knowing that OP has one of the better Tinkers out there. But that's
Have we seen Nice Stalker at all?
No, I don't think so.
Good against Nyx as well, like that Axe jam. Like you're never gonna get snuck up on by Nyx.
Hey, talk about vision control, yeah.
Makes life tough for Lifestealer too.
Yeah.
Can't see anything. Can't rage.
I can almost feel the headache coming out of the screen.
He looks concerned. He does. Full position. Full position Nyx.
Yep.
Yeah. Looks like at least. We have seen some full position bats, but I haven't seen that from IG.
Bat is Night Stalker actually usually picked against Bat. This is going to be really tough for her.
Yeah.
Bat this game.
All right, let's go through predictions. Ben, we'll start with
I
you.
will think that the Tinker is going to own because that's his best hero, and I'll go with IG this game.
Okay. I think OG, I think the vision, like they have no vision heroes against Night Stalker. They're playing a draft that's hard to play without vision, so I'm going to think OG.
I'm going to go for OG as well. I think the drafts are actually fairly even, but OG is the better team, in my opinion.
What about you, Paul? I always want to hear you.
I don't get to add on to the end. There's no point in doing that.
You can choose.
No, I have to be neutral, Ben. I have to stay on the line. Go OG!
Stoic.
Right then, let's head downstairs to our commentary team for the upper bracket final. OG versus IG. Game 1.
Thank you very much, Paul. There's a little bit of a green flare around the stadium. Slightly,
Yeah,
there's still a little bit of a
is.
tint going on, but I feel like it's still a home field advantage nonetheless. IG versus OG, of course. There were some interesting picks there towards the end. And you called out the clockwork during the draft, but you also had a caveat, which was this hero is pretty rough to play. What you talk to me about it.
I said clockwork games are few and far between.
Right.
It has to be a really good clockwork game to be a clockwork game, and this is definitely a clockwork game, and I still was like, I don't know. And then OG was just like, oh yeah, you think that's something, right? Let me go ahead and pick Night Stalker. That is another hero that is like super far out of the meta, doesn't fit very well, but maybe it does work here. They're looking to be able to have a vision advantage. They want to be able to shut the Tinker down. This is, I think, very crafted by OG. I think they theory crafted this whole entire season and said they're going to pick up Tinker. We're not going to ban it. We're going to try and counter it with our pickups. This is a test for OG. I think this is a test for OG and a test for OP's Tinker.
Totally. And you also look at the way that the crowd reacted there at the very beginning. They got Tinker and Lifestealer, both of these incredibly signature heroes, and they say that, in this series, we're not going to be and shine back from what you have. We're going to try and run something together. And I'm looking at the Night Stalker, too, and trying to figure out how this is going to work, because it's a hero that sometimes does run into problems just getting his towers ran down all across the map. And do you feel like OG's lineup might come online a little bit late for this, or do you think that it's going to be okay?
No, I think their timing is going to be fine. It's just a question of whether or not they can keep that timing window that they have and keep hitting with little to no mistakes. Clockwork and Night Stalker, super aggressive heroes. They love to be able to find these pickoffs. The problem is that IG are going to be playing pretty 4-man heavy and trying to be either aggressive or playing around the Tinker, one or the other. So I'm not entirely sure if Clockwork is going to be able to find his openings. That's the problem, is like Clockwork is an offlane hero. It's super hard for him to be able to find windows into the game because of the fact that like there's teams so grouped up. You don't get these traditional solo pickoffs very easily. And this is why Tinker is one of the few meta heroes that Clockwork is actually, he becomes a viable pickup because that hero is solo so often.
Well, you can see right here as well, Burning coming to contest the farm a little bit at least. S4 it does look like he might have another Cogs up. He's going to be able to push him twice, so very low on mana to start this one off.
Yeah, it does mean that this whole entire play, he's protecting the Bound Rune. That's fantastic. It does mean his creep equilibrium is not going to be as ideal. He could have done like the Bulba trick and done like a double Cog situation, but S4 is playing selfless here, trying to protect the Alchemist Bounty Rune as best he can.
And gets a couple of the creeps blocked off there for as well. Jarex needs a second to try and figure out what he wants to do. Indeed, boots first for him.
What does Jarex want to do?
Yeah. Well, so this is the thing that I'm kind of wondering about as well, because you go for the boots first. Oftentimes we've been seeing like a position 4, pick up the Iron Talon and head off into the jungle. But this signals to me that he wants to get aggressive even before the first nighttime, which does seem a little bit peculiar given the heroes that you have here on IGV, or rather IG.
I think he really wants to be able to zone out this Bat Rider. It's a problem hero for sure, and they do have really good kill potential with their tri-lane. So Bat Rider, you want to be able to shut him out, and OG does have the capability to do so. The Night Stalker, once he does hit that 4-minute window and we get our first nighttime, is going to be really powerful, because most likely he's only going to have one level of his passive by that point in time, by 4 minutes in. So you're going to feel even better having those early boots and having a huge movement speed advantage over many of these heroes. I anticipate Jarex to be spending a lot of time in that mid lane as soon as he zones out the Bat Rider. You know, you want to keep that Bat Rider down, secure your safe lane first, and then go ahead and roam on OP all day, every day.
Well, OP in the meantime is going to take advantage of not having that Night Stalker in the lane, at least at the very start of this, as throws out a couple of lasers onto Ana, and this is going to be a little bit of a contentious one. And in the top lane, you can see just a lot of potential for aggression up here as they've brought Bobica in as well.
Clockwork versus CM. Lifestealer should be pretty good for Clockwork. He's got great zoning. He's got great ways to protect himself against the Lifestealer CM. Burning away Burning's mana pretty early and making sure he doesn't have Rage and Open Wounds is a great preemptive way to do so. And if CM does Frostbite you, just try and get that cogs off before the Lifestealer closes the distance.
And you can see Salve used as well by the Alchemist here. He's not off to a terrible start, but the real story, at least for me, is how much the Venge has gained relative to the Lifestealer. Lifestealer 8-1, and No-Tail has been at least a little bit hampered in this, not feeling completely confident because of XSS, keeping that pressure on with the Batrider. And, you know, Visage, a very strong laning hero in a lot of ways, but needs to be able to get up at least a couple of levels to have Soul Assumption and Grave Chill.
Yeah, I really love what IG is doing here because they knew the pressure was going to come the way of the Batrider for the first 4 minutes, so they're protecting that farm with Bobica. He's just kind of like standing there. He's got this Nyx Assassin with a poor man's shield, really tough to be able to eat through because his high armor and high health regen. So the harassment of these heroes.
Oh, and first blood drawn by Burning in the bottom lane, just getting a bit too far forward, and I guess Clockwork not having the capability to cast out the cogs in that instance. Maybe it was on cooldown?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was because he only got caught by one real big spell, right? Oh, did he get the haste rune off that?
Oh, Q is going to take it and apply a little bit of harassment. No mana right now for the Crystal Maiden to make anything happen, but can still at least deny away that rune from the Clockwork.
Yeah, that feels pretty bad. S4 missed a little bit of CS action during that time, failed to get the rune.
Can see still up here in this top lane. There's constant threat of getting gone on. And, you know, normally Nyx Assassin stun is something that you could dodge away with the Visage or a Vengeful Spirit. It's very heavily telegraphed, but when you have all of these stacks of sticky Napalm on you, it's a little bit more difficult to make that work.
And this is the problem with the Visage as well. Like we said, OG has never really been tested as a team, I would say. Like they just kind of rolled through everybody so far in this tournament, and their Visage has gone highly uncontested. Nobody's ran like a really strong aggro duo or aggro tri-lane against this Visage and managed to pressure like they should. Here we're seeing it.
Yeah, big stun now onto XSS. They're trying to bring him down, but No-Tail is really the one that's in trouble. Void slowing him down, but it's not enough to be able to create that kill. They are still going to get the kill onto the Batrider, but now Bobica maybe in a little bit of trouble as well. Soul Assumption is starting to stack up, and it looks like they aren't going to be able to go for that one, but still a lot of pressure.
Well, he didn't really have the mana. And Nyx Assassin is honestly too tanky. That's a great trade for IG because they want to be able to shut down this Vengeful Spirit. It's not a core that comes back into the game very easily. And then on top of that, Nyx Assassin is a perfectly acceptable 4 position to take over that off lane whenever the Batrider dies. So, you know, great trade for IG. They're really exposing the weakness of this Visage pickup. We, theory crafted and talked about it quite a bit, and we're finally seeing it in action here.
And you can see the CS across the board into the favor of the side of IG, and OP really the one that's leading that with 10 denies, almost the amount that Alchemist has CS at this point. So that is not where you want to be. S4 gone on again by Burning. The right click's coming through, but without any other great control. They are rotating in the CM, and with the phase boots, they might be able to pull it in, but a good cog, salve up, S4 playing it safe.
S4 holding to the right-hand side, trying to get the most of his healing salve because he knows like the CM could pop up. Oh. Not sure if he realizes. Oh no, they do have a ward.
Well, in the meantime, XSS goes down in the top lane. And S4 gone upon again. They do have a way to control him. Frostbite used, slowed up, rooted. Battery Assault trying to create that separation and does manage to get the cogs off. S4 away by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah, pretty good read because they did have that ward on the bottom runes. So that Invis was probably scouted by the clock. And he still positioned himself decently far out there. Batrider dying, pretty unfortunate there. I'm not sure exactly what went down, but it is keeping Jerix's Night Stalker up at top. That's fantastic for OP. That's all they really want to do is just create space for this Tinker to continue to shut down Alchemist's farm and get his boots of travel.
Now a movement from the mid. This could be heading top. It is nighttime, so you got to be at least slightly cognizant of this Night Stalker. Went for the 1-1-1 build as far as skills are concerned, so he does at least have that extra movement speed. to get him into position. But if they start stacking up these sticky napalms, there could be some potential for a kill onto No-Tail. Boca walks forward. There's the Grave Chill turning onto XSS. Nova, at least to start it out. Fly is quite dangerous in this laning stage. Soul Assumption's going to be back up again, but not quite enough mana. It looks like they are going to try and turn this. Jarex is going to have to back out. And does look like everybody's just going to walk away from that one.
Everyone's so tanky. I'm a little bit surprised IG tried to make this support rotation up to top lane. Simply because if you look at a Visage, he's got Cloak. You have the Night Stalker, naturally tanky as well. Vengeful Spirit as a core is decently tanky. Will get a lot more as time goes on in that he gets a lot of strength per level, which is important. So it's kind of tough for them just to be able to burst down one hero.
Ooh, and actually Fly is now going to possibly drop, taking a lot of damage. Manages one Soul Assumption before it gets off, but No-Tail under fire is going to end up dropping maybe Jarex. Can he be the difference maker? Bobica, Pop the Mango, does have another Impale, but they do not decide to go onto the rest of Invictus Gaming. And it's kind of interesting because Visage actually ended up going for a no cloak build to start.
Oh,
he
yeah,
got a
I
second point up there into Soul Assumption, so less tanky than normal.
Yeah, that is very surprising considering the aggression that they're facing up against. I thought Fly would have tried to protect himself, but I guess he probably feels like the layers aren't really that effective against the Firefly. That's really what they have to play around. Be super aggressive when you know Firefly is down, like they were earlier, and just try and sometimes bait out Firefly if possible against these aggro Bat Rider lanes. I think OG's done pretty well to manage that. It's just, again, the problem is they're drawing so much attention, and that's IG's win in a nutshell. Right? It's kind of like a coin toss. Whether or not they're actually going to be able to get some of these kills in these engagements all kind of starts on who initiates on who first. But ultimately, OP, he's free farming away. He will have his Boots of Travel coming in pretty quickly. Everything's kind of going well. Like, the first nighttime has just been dodged. Jarex did not have an impact on Tinker's farm.
That's something that you obviously want to be able to at least build some amount of momentum early on. He didn't even venture into that lane in the least bit. A little bit of a different role than we've seen Jarex play in the past. And I think that it makes sense also that the other thing that's nice about Soul Assumption in the laning phase is that as you get more levels into it, the mana cost of it actually goes down. And all these heroes on OG running out of mana, you know, they all have mana issues. But No-Tail continuing to farm. They are bringing more heroes to the top lane again. Nyx Assassin is there. Tinker just trying to finish off those Boots of Travel. And they will again force No-Tail back.
Q is just running at him. There's no way they catch him, but No-Tail is not happy with his farm, that's for sure. 2100, Venge, again, I can't say it enough, Venge is not a hero that comes back well. So they've got to be able to win some team fights around this Vengeful Spirit for her to really be able to get back into the game. Fortunately, she is a core that can accomplish a lot more than most, around 10 to 15 minutes with just her basic skill set, just having levels rather than needing some certain key items.
And the other thing to kind of keep in the back of our minds throughout this is that you do have this Alchemist who's going to get a lot, but I feel like a broken record when we say it so often that it ends up being the situation where your Alchemist is very farmed, the other heroes very much not so. And you look at Clockwork, actually the second lowest net worth at this point in time in the game, but this is kind of a hero that can still survive and make things happen with just levels, right?
Yeah, I think if I want to look at the win conditions for these two teams, I think OG is definitely more focused on the early game, kind of similar to what we saw from the last series of EG Newbie. The team with the Alchemists actually wanted to be able to end faster because IG have drafted themselves much better late game opportunities with the Tinker, and I would say Lifestealer's a fitting matchup against Alchemist. Late game, you have the big increase in armor from the Alchemist as he picks up some items, but he's still relatively effective. So I think it's actually just because they have this Venge core and Clockwork, most notably, is another core that drops off significantly. I think with those IG, they're going to control the late game. They're pretty happy with the early games going, so OG just have to hit really hard in the mid game.
Keep our eyes on that, of course, and see if they're able to make it happen. Right now, Alchemist continuing to farm towards that Radiance. A relatively decent clip as Fly places down a couple of deep wards. It's worth noting they've placed some really good vision here. Some in towards mid lane, a couple in the jungle, in some slightly strange spots. That one might have been scouted by the Radiant ward that was in the area as well. But Burning pressuring this tower. The Cogs actually pull Burning inside of it. How are they setting up for this kill? And there's just going to be a jump inside the catapult. They aren't going to be able to find it.
Roll on out. First rotation of No Tail, not really accomplishing much. They saw an opportunity, it was just underneath the creep wave, so really good play by Burning.
And OP is getting closer to those boots of travel. Man, this guy, he's been playing on a tear for his Tinker. Every game that we've seen him, I feel like he's always had just such a huge impact.
Bobica. I am surprised he has his level 6 already.
Oh, he's going to walk into a ward, though.
Yeah.
They might set up on this. Jarex is baiting it out. Oh, they're going to be able to find this kill in just a second, maybe? They're not bringing in the rest of the heroes. S4 is going to rotate up towards top. They throw the Void now, keeping their eyes on him. Drop another sentry. There's the hook shot in. And S4 able to find that kill.
I think they wanted to wait until the...
fly. They're there. A lot of damage. OP is going to TP in, and they do find that kill. Burning picking it up.
See if they can get the familiar as well. Oh, looks like not quite enough.
One nice thing about this too is that the Fly was able to get a lot of experience in the mid lane while they left, but now the movement in, they've decided to go for it. Ana is diving deep for this one. He's not going to be able to hit the silence, and Bernie going to find that kill. Now looking for more. Jarex is going to go down as well. Can they find any more? I don't know if they're quite going to get within range, as up top, Clockwork, he's also in some trouble. They tried to bring down Q, but it's not going to happen. Oh man, OG under fire early on in this one.
They are just not getting the connections. Now No Tail, I don't think Burning actually gets this, or maybe he can. It's gonna be just enough. Oh no.
Oh, went for the Infest play, but wasn't quite enough damage.
Now he's a little bit overextended maybe. No, OP covers them pretty well.
Jarex oh, they're TPing into that one. That might have been a bit too bold by OG. You can feel, though, that they want to make something happen here.
Yeah, absolutely. They should, right? It's nighttime with a Night Stalker. It's your second night, which is normally the most effective night of all for Night Stalkers around, especially the support ones. So they have to make something happen here, but IG are covering themselves really well. They're choosing the right kind of engagements. What I love about IG and OP Tinker is it's not just OP and how he plays the Tinker, it's how his team plays around him. They like to group up a lot with the Tinker, a lot more, right? What OP does is he protects their tower pushes. It's kind of similar to a Terrorblade.
Now a jump forward. I mean, their tower pushes are going to be pushed, and you're going to see S4 also get caught. He does still have that hook shot if he wants to try and turn onto this, but as you said, they're there. They got the March of the Machines going. There's a chance for rockets and lasers to come out as well after the fact, and this tier 1 tower is going to drop.
Yeah, it's just spiraling out of control for OG. What happened was they had a bad couple engagements, right? They...
Q? Okay, that's something.
That's a one-off. It's consolation prize for OG, essentially. The Ana choosing to push forward, right, with Jarex and trying to get that kill. Them losing that, and then Clockwork also dying on top, meant they weren't able to set up on a defense of a tower. And you can't afford that. Against a Tinker, you have to play really proactive. You have to play proactive in your vision, you have to play proactive in your movement, set traps for the Tinker, but also when it comes to IG's pushes, you have to set up before they do. You have to actually initiate before OP can lay down these marching machines, otherwise you're giving up your tower, essentially. The March kind of cancels the tower's advantage almost entirely, and what's bottom?
Bottom lane, they pick up the kill onto Jarex, one of these heroes that's normally very tanky and not going to go down, but they are going to get, that was so sick by Bobica, the spike carapace, and then they get the stone on S4 and follow it up with the kill. All right, IG, they came to play today. The crowd happy about it.
Certainly did. They got a very comfort lineup for them. Support Nyx Assassin has not been what Bobica has been running primarily in this tournament, but it is a Chinese Nyx Assassin, and he's a great support player. He's making a lot of plays happen. They've got their OP Tinker. They've got a Burning Lifestealer. OG essentially just said, all right, IG, we're going to kind of give you everything that you want. We're going to try and counter it with some unique pickups of ourselves.
And you look at this lineup, and there is still the chance. Like OG, the style of play that they can make with this type of gank is exactly what they need. They're going to move forward. XSS is there. They throw out the Flame Break, almost bringing him down, and they are going to be able to get one kill. The swap in from Q, breaking that freezing field and picking up another one.
Greedy by those two supports. They may both get caught because of this one. Jarex is going to try and hunt him down.
Phase boots. He's very swift right now, choosing to chase forward. Do they have the dust? They get within range. Void is there. Bobica going to drop. They also had a Purge Creep as well. And with the vision, with the magic missile, this should be another kill going their way. You do have OP that's in the area as well. we'll see if OG try and take that fight as well.
Big misplay there from Bobica and Q. At the moment the Batrider got jumped by that many heroes, they just needed to back up. It didn't matter, like, the high ground advantage. They thought, like, oh, this is going to be some sick play, you know, this freezing field placement and stuff, but they just needed to back away as soon as possible and try and limit the loss of heroes. Sometimes those kind of plays can cost you a lot of tempo. Fortunately, it doesn't here. OG were not in a position to be able to take a tower at all. All that really resulted is a little bit of gold back in their coffers, and also some time for Ana to be able to continue to farm up that jungle. He is sitting at 11K compared to the 8K of Burning. It's not quite the lead that an Alchemist wants to be able to have in a true Alchemist game, but it is kind of close. I would say about this point, you usually want to be around 4 to 5K ahead.
Oh my God, this is going to be a huge engagement. They do not realize right now that OG is smoked up on the high ground. They're going to try and go for a wraparound. They do scan it out now. So now they spot them. XSS goes there, jumps onto the Venge. There's no save here, but they are still going to be able to bring down the Batrider after losing the Vengeful Spirit. Jarex is going to drop as well. Burning was on top of it. Now Fly turning, trying to kill off Burning. The 4-step play, it's going to save his life. And Q with the freezing field, zoning out the rest of OG. There is another stun that's being thrown.
Oh, Q is just trying to stay ahead of this unstable concoction, but it's not going to happen. Ana will clean up that extra kill, turning it into a 3-for-3 exchange. Definitely favorable to OG, I would say. Well, I'm actually not entirely sure. Looks like they did come out on top with both gold and experience a bit. I don't know, what's the network chart really looking at? Oh, never mind.
We'll see in just a second, but yeah, this great opening again onto the Venge. You know that that's the hero you have to jump because the swap's there. And so Jarex going to fall as well. I guess the nice part about this is that Ana doesn't die. He's able to get some more gold. And even when this fight started, he was starting to build that substantial lead against the Lifestealer.
Yeah, this is where IG, like, they can play a 4-man aggressive style sometimes, but the Alchemist is now in fighting status, so they have to be careful. They have to be real picky about the battles that they take. You want to prolong this game if you're IG. I don't think you want to fight too heavily into Venge, Clockwork, Night Stalker at 18 minutes. This next nighttime is going to be the big window for OG to start taking objectives. IG, how well do they defend their mid tower? I'm not entirely sure. It could be just one of those that they just give up and avoid fighting entirely.
Oh, they're bringing in the Nyx. This might be somewhat okay if they can pull back and kill off Ana. Bobica is there. They're starting to bring him low. The swap out is going to find the kill. Burning picks it up. Wicked 6 streak. OP, though, is starting to go off as well. 2 for him early on. They just tore through OG.
I think those familiars got cleaned up as well, so that's an extra 200 gold, 3 heroes down. That's big. IG, they did defend their mid tower. It's like the ultimate Tinker tower. You can tell how, like, far ahead or far behind a Tinker lineup is and how well they defend their mid tower. If they're ahead, they'll defend it to the death. If they're behind, it might just be something they give up in exchange for more, like, you know, split pushing and farming time. And IG, they made a great read there.
And you've got these great complementary items as well. Q picking up the urn. It's up to 5 charges right now as well already, just because of how active this game has been. And this is going to allow them to keep the pressure on and, you know, sustain the push as it comes out whenever they want to take that opportunity. But now Burning, he is over here on the low ground. Ana's going to run into him. This is going to be a stun, a chance to possibly open up onto IG. Grave Chill as well. Burning is going to be swapped back in. They have the hook shot. A little bit off the mark. Does still find the stun, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. Burning is going to fall. And now I think IG, they're willing to at least push back OG.
Yeah, so that's okay. Like, their Lifestealer got caught. Huge kill for OG. But the important thing is, you don't overcommit to that team fight. It was going to be a bad one. So Batrider and CM kind of staying back. Batrider in particular, right? He could have played that a lot more aggressively, and he probably just would have been an added kill for OG. Now, OG with that pickoff on Burning should be able to take this mid tower. They chipped it down to practically nothing earlier, so that is going to be a freebie. Roshan is a possibility for the future, though their damage is a big lackluster right now. They got to get better control of their side lanes as well. No Tail's trying to deal with a bottom lane push out. I do like the Helmet Dominator, though. That'll help him have some side lane presence when he's not actually there with this hero.
Yeah. And the other thing that I'm noticing here and thinking about the way these next couple team fights work out, you do still have this Nyx Assassin that's a great answer to the Alchemist. You pop the Spike Carapace, you get the initiation off, you can follow it up with an Infest Bomb possibly with the Bat Rider. It increases your attack range significantly as we do see the Radiance Alchemist moving through, but XSS on the Bat Rider is going towards the jungle. They want to pick up some kills here. S4 and Fly are the targets. Will they catch them here? Smoke breaks. How are they guessing the wrong way? They dropped down a ward. Fly, he is going to be caught. And that's probably not as big of a kill as they would have hoped for.
Yeah, it would have been nice to be able to pick up one, of course, but I think it's still fitting enough. You forced the Clockwork to TP backwards. You've got free reign on hitting that tier 2 for a few seconds at the bare minimum, and it looks like OG are not actually rotating defended at all. So maybe you take this tier 2, and OG in return will take your tier 1 safe lane. Still favorable for IG.
Talked earlier about that Helm of the Dominator as well in the Vengeful Spirit. We saw the creep that he was using earlier, the Purge one, to try and get a setup onto somebody. Now you have sort of a similar thing with the net from the Dark Troll Summoner to allow them to find that extra bit of catch. He's a pretty quick little creep.
Remember how fast Newbie closed out that game 3, right? They had a rough laning phase 2, and they had this, Vengeful Spirit, and they were able to just completely destroy objectives very quickly. IG do need to keep that in mind, right? These one-off pickoffs, they're like, it hurts, but it's not the end of the world, right? You can easily recover. It's going to be the one big-time team fight that gets OG truly in control of this game.
And so we do see, again, IG just trying to get themselves set up. Probably Roshan in their, at least, mind's eye. Is there sort of the key pick? Oh, OP actually going to be caught. The Magic Missile is going to connect. They find the hook shot as well, and that is a very value pickup. CM is there as well, but they do not want to try and take that fight in the least bit. This might actually open up the value for Roche.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got Alchemist and Venge in the same place at the same time. You got a successful kill on Tinker, who's probably one of the harder heroes to play Roshan around. So Aegis time for them, building into a lot of auras just like we saw last time. So Solar Crest for Fly. We're going to have the early Vlad pick up. What does our Clockwork have? Is it probably just like a 4-staff or something? Yeah, 4-staff is his item. What about Jerix? Jerix has had some, not really much progression actually. He's going to work on a 4-staff as well. Trying to deal with Burning's Lifestealer as best as possible.
So to me, this feels like it could be one of those turning points that you were talking about there and how quickly things can swap around. That OG, they pick up the Aegis, they have a lot of farm still on this central Alchemist, and while IG do have ways to deal with him, Laser to stop the right clicks, ostensibly a Bat Rider to control him, so many times we've seen these Alchemists become an indomitable force that just takes over the game. Do you see that happening in this one?
It could be, but it's going to be, I don't think that one pickoff is going to be the turning point. I think they still need a couple more, and how well they use this Aegis is yet to be seen. If I was in IG's place, I would be telling myself they were going to get Aegis eventually, right? Like they're going to have a really good timing at this point. Bobica, okay, that was their own counterward.
Yeah.
So a setup here. He's got Tinker rotating across.
No Tail might be sensing that something is up though, and that hurts when Bobica is sitting around there for so long and not able to go onto the Vengeful Spirit. I believe he did spot out though that the bounty rune is taken, so should realize somebody's in the area.
I think No Tail's pretty comfortable with his HP right now. Nyx Assassin can't even come close to bursting him down, and I'm not even sure if with Laser and Rockets if it would be enough. It might have to be like a second round of Rockets in order to get that kill. So he's being like a little bit more solo than you would probably expect.
Hook shot in, they catch there onto Bobica. Spike Carapace has been popped, and there's going to be Magic Missile, a couple right clicks. They have the dust as well to finish him off. Swap in. The familiars might even be the ones that pick this up, but with the stun available.
Baby. Buy some time. That's all you can do.
Yeah, Bobica's going to drop though, and that ward being the one that set it all up.
Oh, look at OP. Oh, Jerix. Even so, like if he gets that, he'd need mass rotations to the Shrine, and I'm not sure if he would get it.
Oh, he's actually going for this. On to Bobica. The rest of his team is TPing in on the Shrine, but do they realize the rest of the heroes in the area? Burning and Lifestealer is already on top of him. Ana in some trouble. Q with the freezing field is destroying No Tail off to the side, but they do manage to get to the Shrine. That might be enough to save the day. Fly trying to bring him low. Ana is just not going to die. Burning decides that he doesn't want any more. There's 3 already dead for IG. Burning starting to get ran down, and if No Tail can quite find vision, there's the swap back in. XSS actually gets the jump and the Force Staff away. Flame break to create that separation.
Oh, nice Manta dodge, but ultimately he was like, he needed to get that unstable concoction range, and XXS played that beautifully. Quick reactions on the Blink Dagger, instant Force Staff as well. And that was one of those big team fights, I think. IG, I think they looked at that, they thought maybe to themselves like, oh, they're just not going to be able to rotate fast enough, we're already set up. But the problem was, like, one of the big threatening heroes is Ana's Alchemist. They could have committed harder to kill that Alchemist, but he still had the Aegis, right? It just wasn't worth it to them. If they trade Tinker for Alchemist and maybe there's a fight that breaks out from there, it's okay. But as it is, he's got that extra life. OG have used the Aegis quite well, managed to get a good fight and a tier 2 off of it.
And, you know, what was this 4,000 net worth lead into the favor of IG, right around 6,000 or so experience, is now starting to swing into the favor of OG. And it does feel like this is what we always knew could happen, at least a little bit. How do you respond to this if you're IG now? What's the, is there anything?
Patient.
Just being patient and.
Yeah, be patient. Keep telling yourself, keep reminding yourself, like, okay, we have good late game. We have really good pick-off potential. We have very strong high ground defense, right? Because you've got Bat Rider. I would say Nyx Assassin is a strong high ground defending hero, and Tinker obviously is huge. So just remind yourself, like, okay, things have gone bad in the mid game, but we also knew this is when OG was going to be quite strong. So everything's still kind of following the formula. Even if you maybe exceeded expectations from the laning phase and stuff like that, it still doesn't matter. Everything's kind of going according to the overall game plan of these two strategies matching up against each other. Don't freak out.
Well, there we go. As it does look like the Assault Cuirass has been finished for Ana. Clearly wanting to take down these objectives, giving that extra bit of physical damage out there. Also, we saw briefly the Nyx Assassin, after going for the Midas, is now going back for an Aghanim Scepter. So sort of continuing that narrative that we've been talking about of holding high ground defense. It's certainly a huge item for IG and their ability to hold that high ground, but it does feel like we're sort of almost waiting around for the next round.
Yeah, I would actually say that the high ground defense is so important that if OG can take a tier 3, not even necessarily taking the Raxus, but if they can take a tier 3 in the next Aegis timing, then I think they've got the game. Because at that point in time, you really limit the Tinker quite a bit because you take away the shrines. This is what Tinker, like, this is why Tinker is quite good in this particular meta. Oh, that's, well, that's an okay pickoff. Like, it's just a gimme for IG, doesn't mean too much to OG.
Yeah, I mean, anything at this point is pretty good for them, considering that Ana is still so hard to deal with. Obviously, Aegis gone at this point. He's actually queuing up the first Aghanim Scepter. So we talked a lot about Jarek's not having a lot. Do you give this over to the Night Stalker, in your opinion?
Yes, I believe so. This is a kind of in combination with the whole go high ground and take that tier 3, take the shrines, get aggressive vision down, play around with an Aghanim's Night Stalker gem, and what can the enemy team really do? Like, they have very limited options to be able to push outside of their base against Ag's Night Stalker.
And the other thing that we talked about and we've seen in a couple of these games is the Vengeful Spirit being able to be that high ground breaking hero in a lot of ways, swapping out. We saw the game even against a sniper, it ended up working. Yeah,
you actually pointed this as maybe like a sleeper hero of the tournament, right? You said that like this could be one of the more important tournaments in this final area of the game, and I kind of agree with you. I think that this Vengeful Spirit has actually figured out like some sort of key to be able to break high ground against some of the tougher heroes. This level 3 swap is really high range. The timings of the Vengeful Spirit are quite strong. It just, like, we've been looking at this tournament, and I would say like 80% of the games have gone to the team with the better late game. Maybe the Vengeful Spirit is the way you crack that code.
Right. Maybe it's the answer to so much greed that we've been seeing here as On a Solar Crest in hand, they get the vision, get the stun. That's on to 2, but they also stun out Ana. Do they realize the rest of OG is here? A really big call. There is going to be a counter impale, but I don't know if it's going to be enough damage. Ana's going to be pulled back in, but do you really want this Alchemist closer to you, burning on top of him? Ana trying to continue the chase, is not going to quite be able to hit the stun onto Burning, but still, you're assaulting high ground. 2 are dead from IG.
Yep, good situation for OG to be in. They know they've got 30 seconds to be able to work with for some buybacks maybe, or not. What are they backing up to? Maybe take the tier 2 top? Okay. I don't think Roshan's up yet, so playing it a little bit safe. I thought maybe they'd take advantage of this time where the initiation just isn't there from the Batrider, but they probably don't feel comfortable trying to test high ground against mass marching machines.
And I guess that in a lot of ways for OG, you still have so much more room to grow on a lot of these heroes. This first Aghanim Scepter is coming out. And, you know, I almost wonder if maybe they even give it over to the Venge.
No, I think Ag's Night Stalker is such a game changer. It's one of the biggest Aghanim's upgrades in the game. It makes the hero, right? Like, there's no way they pick Night Stalker without without either, well, you can't put him as a 3 position, I don't think. So I think it's literally just with Alchemist, right? Put a support Night Stalker that has an Alchemist on the team. That's really the only way that hero is viable. So OG, they're beginning to hit those timings. They still have plenty of other Aghanim Scepters that are quite strong to give away.
Oh, XSS pulls back in 1. That's Fly. It's a decent kill, absolutely. But I'm sure that they were hoping for a little bit more as well.
I think Fly really likes this this Visage, you know, 5 support sort of situation, because it's like, well, you kill me, but I'm still doing something, right? I still got my birds to be able to work around. I can farm, I can check out Roshan. He's scouting the pit right now. Looks like 1 minute until Rosh is up.
Wow, and another pickup here. Ana just gonna let him die in the acid spray. No respect.
Cool guys don't look at kills, Gabe.
That's something I need to learn, definitely. Yeah. I don't get to kill heroes in games. I just play Dazzle and Grave.
Oh, you're the saving hero. Wow. Unfortunately, you do have. Maybe that's also a thing. Just shallow grave and walk away, Gabe.
That's the cool guys don't look at shallow graves. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Nyx Assassin, he's getting closer to his Aghanim Scepter, and that might be that other factor that allows them to get towards a defensive high ground. And while you do have OG hitting a really strong timing, in a lot of ways, IG will as well. You've got AC done on Lifestealer, countering out what the Alchemist is doing in a lot of ways. And, you know, the Tinker, he's got Aghanim Scepter with the Aether Lens completed. They're not looking too shabby. They're not looking too shabby for high ground defense, but everything else is questionable. I'm not even sure if they're going to be able to push out and defend Roshan. I think they probably will. I think they'll try, but I don't think that fight will go well for them. There's just too much control for OG when they have this Ags Gem combination. Very tough to be able to get a surprise, you know, play onto Rosh. I'm not sure if they can actually burst down a hero because there are all these defensive force staffs on the side of OG, because they mostly just have to worry about the Lifestealer's damage, right? They stop the lasso with the swap, and then they force staff the heroes being targeted by Lifesteal, and they've sort of countered the initiation from IG. Well, they're looking, but not finding. OG wise to the situation or on the other side of the map. As far as wards are concerned, you know, IG were able to get 1 down over there. By the shrine, so they could see some movement in. But with Fly's birds in the Rosh pit, there's a very unlikely situation that IG could even go in and take down Roshan without somebody knowing that it was up. Yeah, I think IG should probably consider picking up a gem of their own pretty soon here, because smokes are the best way for them to be able to work around this Ags Night Stalker problem and such, but first they have to limit some of the aggressive vision, because it makes it super obvious. If lanes are pushing in, which they kind of always are, and there's aggressive vision down, you just put 2 and 2 together if you're OG and like, okay, no heroes in mid, no heroes in top, there's no heroes in the jungle area near those areas, so unless they're just all standing in a circle inside their base, they have to be smoking out. And the other thing, too, is that it's daytime. Just, you know, hide away. You don't need to end up going out. I feel like the real thing that OG could, like the huge detrimental thing that could happen is you find a pick-off right now before we're getting close to nighttime, just about 1.5 minutes away, and then you end up losing that momentum that you've built up throughout this game. And with Tinker, with Lifestealer, certainly heroes that can take a fight and can punish heroes that are trying to run away from them. You know, Gabe, I think this might just be a Magic Missile piercing spell immunity game.
right? Because the Vengeance Aura it's really big. I think 90% of the time you're going to go for that. But he's only really increasing his own damage. You got this Lifestealer who's a big problem.
Well, maybe that's not even a problem if S4 can find him. Q actually is going to interrupt it. I'm not sure if he was aiming for him or not, but nonetheless, they will take that kill on the CM.
Another Aghanim Scepter coming in fast. What's that going to be? Is that going to be could be a Venge one, could be the Visage one.
Oh, it looks like he actually already gave one to Clockwork as well, so
yep.
There we go.
Yeah. They got them all over the place. It's kind of cool because now Clockwork, thanks to this Midas and such, like OG, they're prolonging their window. This is what all of these teams are doing, is when they pick one of these lineups and they have a little bit more of a mid-game focus, they prolong their lineups by being able to get like the Tana Midases and playing some efficiency games. Most of the time it's Tana Midas. Here it's like the Aghanim Scepter going to Clockwork.
Jarek's chasing. He wants this one bad. Swap from a million miles away. XSS going to drop. Bobica not even able to make that separation. S4 jumps in, pushes back 2 with the cogs. Can they take any more? That's going to be an Ags laser starting to spray out damage, and OG forced to back. But still, big kill.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't have to worry about this bat for a little while. Looks like they just want to control the lanes. They gotta get everything pushed in once again. So what is it? He's not giving it to Visage, he's giving it to Venge, it looks like, this Aghanim Scepter. That's also acceptable. I think it's just kind of like a question of like who is going to end up dying here. The Visage extra bird is really nice, but the what do you even call it? The spirit, a vengeful spirit?
Yeah, it's like a weird illusion thing.
Yeah, whatever it is, it's like, you know, he's going to be swapping and he's going to try and sacrifice his life to be able to get this Tinker out of position. And if they do target him down, well, he's still going to have some efficacy in the team fight with that, you know, extra spirit. He's going to still have his auras out there. He's still going to be able to cast Magic Missile. Maybe there's the spell immunity pierced in there as well. You know, there's a lot of cool situations where this Aghanim Scepter, again, I know like prolongs, you look at Vengeful Spirit and you're like, okay, this is your timing window, but given it a free Aghanim Scepter, that prolongs it. Give it a free Moon Shard, prolongs it even more. You get Clockwork and Aghanim Scepter, all of a sudden he's able to go for some items he normally isn't able to. Looks like that he's choosing Linken's for this game, probably more for protecting his ally on the front line. The hardest part is like, how's Vengeful Spirit going to right-click, or Alchemist, how are they going to right-click this tier 3 when they're getting lasered? So they've got to be able to solve some of these problems of cracking the defense of IG.
Yeah, and maybe it is just that initiation with the swap immediately into a Magic Missile, one of the cores, probably trying to find the Tinker. And they've got a lot of different ways to get on top of that Tinker. A Blink Dagger now picked as well for the Night Stalker. That long duration silence is amazing. So
yeah, what does OP really do about that?
Ana gets jumped on. He's in there in the middle of it, but they pull back in. No Tail is going to be now caught up by the Bat Rider, and OP might start going to town. Ana very low. They've got the Q damage coming out as well. OP might continue the chase, but he's actually out of mana, so they need to hold on for the second. Another stun onto Ana. They're starting to bring him down. The Manta, can he get out of there? It doesn't look like it. Burning is going to find the kill. So huge for IG.
Great job. IG planned that fight out really well. This whole entire time they've been stuck in their base, but they thought about this pretty hard, right? They're not going to use this straight up lasso. They put a threat, some sort of like threatening force onto the Alchemist, forcing the swap. So then the swap's used, they can then use the lasso. The OP has always had really good positioning. One of the things he's doing quite well is these familiars are coming forward, and he's actually using the laser on the familiars because they're closest thing to him. He doesn't want to be out of position, and it then bounces and hits all of these other things. So a lot of like really cool small things that IG are doing in this high ground defense that gives them the win.
Yeah, and for the first time now, OG pushing out across the river. They're trying to force a buyback right here. OP is going to start using the March of the Machines, defending that tower push like you were talking about early, and you have a secondary force now, and Bobica doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, they basically got 2 towers now, right? It's Bobica is actually tanking the tower. Whoa, Jairus.
Good force staff away. Quick reactions. That could have been tragic, but S4 jumps to OP on the back. Not sure if it's going to be enough. They do get the burning pushback from the cogs. Still on and not up yet.
IG need to back up. That was a little bit scary there. Like, No Tail could have swapped burning or something. Because whenever OP, like, he's out of mana, he needs to refresh, head back to base and stuff, they need to chill out. That was a good push, you know, kind of tested OG, see if they're going to use any buyback, see if they could force the Alchemist buyback, for example. Didn't happen. That's okay.
Yeah.
You've got some decent map control. Push out your side lanes. OG are inevitably going to get that controlled again, but it does mean a pretty good farming window. It probably means an extra like 5,000 gold before the next push comes in from OG.
And not to mention a good bit of damage done onto that tier 3 tower in the mid lane. You get one more of those fights, that tower's going down in an instant.
Yeah.
So quite strong movement out by IG. They show that the high ground defense is as strong as we always knew that it could be. If you're OG, do you need to try and reevaluate how you take those fights? Do you need to reevaluate how you siege? Or do you think you just try and play the same thing again and execute it a little bit better?
I think there's going to be some question marks about like what items let you hit tier 3. Like, do we pick up BKBs? Right? Do we get a BKB on Alchemist and he pops it and he just swings at that tower? Then at that point in time, the only reaction can be from IG is go for the lasso play. You've got the swap counter play, and the fight plays out like you've kind of envisioned this whole entire time. How like Lincolns and Lotus Orbs, like how impactful can these supports be in protecting their carry when he's gone on? When they had that situation, right, where they made it go onto this Alchemist without using the lasso, can we actually protect him without using that swap? There are a lot of these little things, these little item mechanics, and what exactly goes right. I would say, if I'm thinking about it, I think BKB is beginning to be in consideration for Alchemist and Venge. How do you set this up better, though, instead of just going high ground?
It's tough. Like, there's obviously the swap play. I will say that I actually have the luxury of being able to check out the items, and it's looking like Alchemist and Venge both immediately queued up the BKBs. They're ready to go.
There we go. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good idea. Control the map again. Get those BKBs. I'm trying to think of like technique-wise. Like we have the item solution,
right,
but technique-wise, what is need to change for OG? Maybe they push multiple lanes. Does that work for them? It's dangerous, right? Because you're facing a Bat Rider. You can't have Vengeful Spirit be everywhere to protect you. So that doesn't really feel like a good answer.
I mean, I guess that the Manta-style illusions from Alk are going to help to push it out, but you also have decent wave clear on IG. It's Tinker, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
I guess the other
Get those familiars a little bit more involved in hitting the tier 3 tower. I think that's a pretty important thing, because if you force, like, say, the Bat Rider, or excuse me, not the Bat Rider, if you force the Lifestealer to come forward and hit those familiars, then you maybe have an offensive swap opportunity, right? Normally you want to get the Tinker, but maybe if he's far enough out of position, if you can set up the right kind of way, maybe for example, swap into Cogs. Yeah. Right? If you have a Cog set up next to the Vengeful Spirit, he swaps, you get the instant stun on Lifestealer, you follow that up with a silence from the Night Stalker, Venge comes back in Magic Missiles or something. Like, there's some combinations to work with. Unstable Concoction. There's some, cutesy things that maybe OG can do to catch IG by surprise if they can use these familiars and force a hero forward.
I mean, it's those extra little flavors that put you over the edge as far as top-tier teams, but you've also just got the classic items. You're talking about the BKB that you can build into. An Alchemist, pops the BKB, maybe he switches it out for the armlet at that point and then puts the armlet back on after his backpack or whatever.
Yeah.
So lots of different options there. And I guess the other thing, too, is just sort of farming them out. At the end of the day, IG have great high ground defense like we've talked about, but it's outside of the battle. It's outside in the jungle where you end up running into these heroes that maybe that high ground defense doesn't look quite as potent, their ability to take team fights.
Yeah, I think what I like about the familiar play for OG, and it'll probably just be countered by laser, but one of the things is you won't probably lose your familiars because they have this heavy damage reduction. And as you pointed out to me, I didn't realize this mechanic, but that Visage familiar, that Gravekeeper's Cloak Aura, it's based around Visages. Right. And the armor that he set up on, right? And that kind of blew my mind. I was like, I thought the Visage familiars had their own individual cloak, and it was just like, okay, you just beat them down a couple times, they lose that damage reduction. But if it's based around the Visage, and Visage isn't actually taking any damage, You can actually use these familiars a bit better. But then there's the bouncing laser. That's going to probably hit the Visage. There's maybe some marching machines that maybe clips them a little bit. There's a lot of like weird hero and various interactions that go on into this high ground defense. And OG and IG have to think about all of this at the same time, which is why I think it's so cool that IG like made that play. They found a solution to what OG was proposing essentially for their team fight, where they're like, okay, you try and lasso, we're going to swap. What are you going to do about that, right? And the high pressure scenarios that are occurring. Unfortunately, it looks like S4 has a broken computer of some sort. I don't know what's going on, but
yeah, there's a little bit of all chat going on. Apparently, they're asking, you know, what's happening, and then health not well.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but obviously you want all of these players to be able to play to their peak performance, and if there's an issue going on, take care of that as quickly as you can, and then hopefully they'll be able to get back into this one.
Man, what is the? I don't know if it's S4, but if it is S4, it's so unfortunate because remember that the last time he got sick in China. What tournament was that? But he was
WCA, WAC?
Something like that. And he was playing with Alliance, right?
That
there was that picture of him with a blanket.
Oh my God.
He looked so miserable, but they
know.
still managed to do it. I was like, damn, that's a champ right there.
I know.
Pulling through.
The Jordan playing through the cold flu-like symptoms, absolutely. And it's also, you know, the thing that's weird about it too, though, is that I got a chance to see a couple of the players from OG as they were, you know, getting their breakfast in the morning, and I heard in passing, it was like, this is the best event that they've had so far in China, being taken care of. So in general, that people have been feeling good, but occasionally, obviously, with travel, can run into some issues like that. So
yeah, I think that we see the OG players actually walking out of the booth right now. So it does look like this is going to be something that will probably take a little bit of time. I think it might be No-Tail who's not feeling so well, but hopefully give him a little bit of time. Hopefully he's feeling better to come back to this one, because this is a very important game, right? This is the upper bracket finals, game number 1. It's not. Oh, I'm sorry. It looks like we misread the chat. It was actually IG.
Okay.
Who said that? So, OG probably like bathroom or something like that while they have this extended pause.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay, well, it looks like since there is a problem going on, one of the players had a little bit of a medical emergency. We are going to be going to a quick little break, and we'll try and hop back into this game as soon as possible. But obviously want to make sure that people's health is taken care of in this one. And we'll be back as soon as we figure out something what's going on. Okay.
Our producers telling us that maybe it's not that way. We'll kind of stick with it, guys. But like, this is a very important game, right? It's game number 1 of a best of 3 upper bracket finals. Neither one of these teams wants to drop down into that lower bracket, because we do have some very fearsome teams down there. Both IGV as well as Newbie look rather strong. I think that if you're, say, you're in IG's position, these are 2 teams who know you very well, right? And in OG's position, they're also, I think, a team that they haven't really been tested until IG, I think, stepped forward in this game, number 1. Yeah. They shut down the Visage. They're figuring out some solutions to various things, right? And you have to kind of worry. You have to worry about yourself and go, are the other teams going to be able to do that? Are the other teams figuring something out about us that they're going to be able to? Because you're not in the same position as, say, like EG, right? We were having this conversation in the panel where you have a bad group stage because you're still kind of figuring things out. But as you do figure things out, those losses, they give you a teaching lesson. You don't really get that teaching lesson when you just kind of crush everything.
No, totally. Yeah,
you're just like, you're OG, and you're just like, we pick Visage. No one else is doing it. Like, fight me. And nothing really happens. Like, OG, you're just like kind of stomp all over everybody, and they're like, okay, I guess we're the best team until this point.
The other thing I would say, though, is that IG, in some ways, had a similar situation, too, though. They had a tough group, no doubt about it. But they played the same style over and over and over again. You look at the Burning Lifesteal, you look at the OP Tinker, they either had one or the other constantly, and that meant that they could just run through the groups, and they played around that so well. So I'm wondering in the series, as it continues to develop too, you have the beginning, which is they get both of their heroes, is OG going to be able to bring them down, and are IG rather, forced into something new? And that's a little bit of a tough one indeed.
Yeah, they've kind of had like basically two strategies, right? A very aggressive strategy and then a kind of a tinker strategy.
Yeah.
Those have been the major two that I would say they've gone through, and both of them looked pretty polished. I think their tinker strategy, especially the way they push down towers. Again, it's like we're looking at some of these heroes, these pushing heroes, or some of these late game heroes, and they're just like they're using these heroes a lot more aggressively than we used to. Like the way No Tail uses Terrorblade and just like actually uses every single metamorphosis to go for an objective and force a team fight if it comes to that. So I think it's a very cool development on the meta so far.
Absolutely. Well, we'll have to figure out how that's going to look. We are going to go to a short little break just until those players get back in the booth. So we will see you guys when that happens. Just a few minutes.
okay, this is not going to work.
Yeah. And they almost caught there the Crystal Maiden. There was a moment where Q was vulnerable, but couldn't quite catch him. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, the Tinker did just pick up a Sheep Stick. Not only great for being able to, deal with the Alk, but also the Vengeful Spirit once she comes back into that, Spirit form or whatever else it is. I do believe that does still get the instant kill, if I'm not mistaken. I remember
really?
I think I remember seeing Venge just dropping to that, and maybe even an Enchantress taking it over at some point.
Yeah, I'll be real. I have no idea about the Spirit, because I can't say.
Stun back in. They've caught the Bat Rider, though, and this ends up looking a little bit bad for the side of OG, at least to start, although OP's taken down the Visage, so maybe they can turn this back around, forced down to the high ground, but they swap back in, Burning, separating him from the rest of the team. There's no defense that's there. S4 is caught out OP as well. Now trying to take down more Burning, running away. Q pops the ulti to just try and zone them out to the best of their abilities. S4 saved at the last second. No deal comes in the clutch. The magic missile chases. Defensive Force Staffs keeping him alive. IG somehow, some way get away with that one. Q is still going to die, but now the Sheep Stick spam as well as the lasers getting thrown out.
S4 needs to be careful. He can't come too close, right? We've got both rockets and bouncing laser that could potentially catch him out. They're going to try and take advantage of this small window where they know the Tinker is still kind of recharging, and Burning was low on HP. I think they might have used a Shrine there. 2 more minutes. Another Aghanim Scepter picked up, this time probably for the Visage. Is there anybody who doesn't have an Aghanim Scepter? There's nobody who has an Aghanim Scepter except for Visage. So that is going to be the full swing. Next up, farming Moon Shards for your team and for yourself as well, actually. He doesn't have one yet.
Yeah, totally. And
hell, he can even give himself an Aghanim Scepter just for the stats, you're giving presents to everybody. Sometimes, Gabe, you got to think about yourself. Treat yourself, Gabe.
Treat yourself, absolutely. You got to love that mentality. It's something that I think is fed around far too often, or less often. As Visage is going to be able to get that Aghanim Scepter in just a second. Again, not like the most impactful thing in the world because these team fights are so chaotic. Trying to set up the triple stun seems unlikely with all of the defensive Force Staffs on the side of IG. But that Sheep Stick, we saw just how impactful it could be in that fight. Catching Ana, throwing out a couple of them there as well onto the Vengeful Spirit. It's been quite good.
Right.
So, pipe done for Fly. Further items to allow them to siege and take that high ground, keeping those creeps alive. And it does also look like, what do you like as the next item for Jerix? Is it
I don't really, you're kind of like a Night Stalker late game.
Yeah.
It's not like a huge hero. His biggest objective is just trying to get the silence onto the Tinker, I think. That's why he's got the Blink Dagger, the Ether Lens, that long range. Because it's not like you really have an answer from the Tinker, right? Well, what happens if he gets silenced? Well, he's going to try to blink backwards and Force Staff, but he's not going to do anything during that time. And if it's nighttime, that silence lasts a really long time.
Yeah.
So I almost wonder if OP is going to start playing around that, maybe pick himself up like a Lincoln Sphere instead of having that Force Staff. But he really wants that Force Staff to be able to save allies, right? IG have played excellently around their defensive Force Staff plays. Burning, living through that last engagement is a great example of that.
Yeah, I mean, we do see, obviously, the great abilities to go for like a swap into something. Crippling Fear feels like a great swap into that, particularly for the Tinker if they manage to find it. But for now, at least, it's time to move in towards Roche Pit. Acid Spray's been laid down. And with this next Aegis, we'll see if OG decide to go up for high ground. They still have about a minute and a half until daytime. And then, of course, you do have darkness after the fact, which they could make use of as well.
Aghanim Scepter adds to your net worth, right?
Yes, it does. Yeah, on the net worth tab.
So I was like, man, everyone on OG enjoying the love from the Alchemist. They all look like they have damn good net worth, and it's for a reason, right? A free 4,200 gold gift given to them. They give the Aegis over to their Clockwork. Not really sure about the difference between Clock and Venge when it comes to an Aegis carrier. Yeah. Venge obviously does have the cheese and that spirit to fall back on, so maybe they just want the absolute most presence out of all their heroes, right? So Clock and Venge are going to be the ones who are dying first. You have Venge who eats the cheese. If she still dies, she has the spirit. And then the Clockwork, obviously, is going to be in deep and doesn't have a lasting presence if he dies, so better to give him that second life.
Yeah, it almost guarantees that he's going to be able to get 2 hook shots off in an engagement, and likewise, Venge likely to get a couple of different swaps in there. So, No Tail going to be able to hit high ground himself if they want to. He does have that BKB done as well, so an answer for the laser and everything else that Tinker throws out. Haven't seen him progress into the Dragon Lance yet, but that could be an option as well. And also getting closer to that level 25 where there's either the Vengeance or the BKB piercing magic missile as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure what No Tail builds here from like going forward if the game doesn't end in the next like 10 minutes or so. I'm not sure if does he get the Dragon Lance? It feels like kind of a poor stat item, but the range is really nice, especially for sieging high ground. Does he go for like Butterfly against the Lifestealer? Does he pick up like a Scotty and just get a really big stat item? There are a lot of options, I guess. Do they have a Shiva's on OG? Just out of curiosity. So. I don't think so. They have the other 2 armor items like Lotus Orb, AC. Looks like maybe Fly's probably going to get the Shivas. Or it could be a secondary Lotus Orb. It's hard to say, right? Because these Lotus Orbs and these Lincolns are mega value. It is going to be a Lotus Orb.
All right.
Well, so, yeah.
That's kind of an interesting one, as he has it.
They all have that. Whoa. The Lotus Orb interaction with bouncing back spells is based around, is it the person who is cast on? If they have an Aghanim Scepter, it could be you have a bouncing laser come in there. It's not based around...
He's using the creeps, though. That's really smart. And now they actually pull him back in, immediately swapped out by No Tail. No more Flaming Lasso there.
And they still haven't used their BKB for Ana. So he can go high ground with real confidence here. This is definitely a tier 3 tower down, and maybe even a melee Rax.
They're going to keep up the pressure. S4 goes in, catches there onto the Batrider. There's a Silence, Crippling Fear onto the Lifesteal. He doesn't have an answer to this. They're going to be able to swap out Ana, keeping him alive for the moment. Still, that Spike Carapace controlling up Ana. It's going to back out, but again...
They took the tier 3 at top, and they're going to take the top lane of Rax if they don't actually get this fight at bottom lane and deal with top.
BKB popped. Ana just wants to hit the barracks. Didn't even end up going for it. And yeah, they're taking it. The melee, or the birds doing work up here top.
Got a bunch of damage onto that ranged Rax. That is not going to be repaired.
OP can try and take it down.
Somebody get those familiars.
Maybe you suicide him to the fountain. Who knows?
He resummoned.
Smart play there as well by Fly. So across the board, great win for OG. They take down the tier 3 tower, both top and bottom, take 2 separate, well, they didn't take the barracks up in the top lane, but they were able to secure the melee barracks in the bottom.
Yeah, they're going to get those shrines now. This is the nightmare for IG. They're locked inside their base. They don't have the shrines to operate off of. They don't feel comfortable taking a fight outside their base. It seems like OG, they found a really strong alchemist strategy. The value of the Aghanim Scepters across the board, I think, is actually, you don't really talk about, people like to talk about it because it's cool, but it doesn't usually have an impact in the game like it has this one.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's just because of how much Ana was able to get early on, and he had such a great start to this game. And then after the fact now as well, where in a moment where you're starting to feed over those moon shards, already has one for himself. I imagine that you end up sending one over to the side of Vengeful Spirit as well, but they are grouped up, ready to start going for mid.
What's our Nyx assassin up to? Is he just like, he was really deep in there. I'm not sure if he was just hoping for a pickoff.
They weren't finding it, and now Burning. They do force staff Ana forward, but able to force staff him back, just playing back and forth here. Nyx is also going to be able to get out a good amount of damage. This is silence onto Burning. That ulti from the CM not really doing all that much, but they are going to be able to control Ana, bringing him inside. Can they pull him in? Another swap comes out from No Tail. The low cooldown, and now S4's jumped back in. They go for some more force staff plays, trying to get away, but they managed to get it. Gem on the ground, but more importantly, that is Batrider dead. 60 seconds, no buyback.
And 100 in Arcane Rune, so there's no downtime to Chemical Rage. He just keeps on coming back, and oh, there's another swap. It just doesn't stop.
They're constantly keeping him surviving, and OP can throw out all this damage that he wants, but he got so much regen. The BKB's been popped. They do have the Abyssal controlling him, but OP again going to be controlled by S4. They push him back with the cogs, burning through the mana. He's silenced yet again. Jerix had picked up an Orchid in the meantime, and also here to the sides. You've got the birds taking down the barracks. They're doing a hell of a lot of damage, but No Tail
another one
will not be stopped.
They just have this constant sieging mechanic that OG, they like, I just don't have an answer for it. They keep on trying to make this go, but it's just not happening. They can't bring down any one hero, and then they just back off and regen again because Ana's really the only one who's taking damage. He just plays off of Chemical Rage. They're going to go again. They're going to attack top lane again.
Oh, swap again. Why not? Burning, see you later. He's gone, has to buy back. This is a tier 3 down. OP is getting lasered himself, and it looks like OG going to be content with just that. They have split pushed him to hell and barreled down a lane at the same time.
Perfect. They've got some items to pick up, some big ones. They've got Moon Shard, another one completed for the Alchemist, and he'll probably still have buyback. I'm sure a lot of the other heroes have some items to grab as well. An Octarine Core for Clockwork, so not only will you have this constant swap action, you also have the constant hooks that are going to be coming in. What are some of the other heroes and their pickups here? He did go for the Hurricane Pike, 2,200 gold on this Vengeful Spirit as well. And Pipe, Solar Crest.
I mean, they've got
the Orchid for Jarex.
Yeah, he's picked that one up and still cool. 3,000 on top of it. So he's going back for the Bloodthorn at this point. He'll
make himself like a nice, not secondary damage source, but just using the Bloodthorn and having the others deal the damage will have quite the hefty impact. Burning, he's got to get an answer to this. There's just so many problems. So many problems for him. Looks like he is going to get MKB to be able to deal with Radiance Miss and also the potential laser bounce around. But the silence is going to be quite the problem for him.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing, too, like for OP in this game, you've got great items here on Jarex to just get on top of him. And you have the Blink there, the Aether Lens as well. And he went for the Dagon. He doesn't have any way to take the silences off of him on the Tinker. You hate to build into a BKB on this heroes, but sometimes it's necessary.
I mean, honestly, I think OP, he knows that damage is a problem for them. He just has to build this offense build. I don't think he has a better option. Oh, they're going to spot some of this.
Breaking it out. They get the silence onto XSS. He pops his BKB, but not able to find it. And now here, Ana going to end up stunning himself. He's actually dropping really low. They are going to be able to get that kill. Maybe going to be able to find more. No Tail's going to go down. Double kill for OP. Can they get anything else off the back of this? Frostbiting for the moment, and it does look like they're going to be able to take down that illusion of the Vengeful Spirit.
Oh, the Melee Max. Oh, no.
All right,
stop the familiars.
They pop the glyph. Fly.
Yeah, that's still something gained for OG, right? Bad fight, for sure. Bad fight. But they still forced a glyph. When Alchemist and Venge are back up, they go high ground again. The melee racks could just die into 2 rounds of familiars.
IG, they want to make the most of this one. There's still buybacks on the Venge and the Alch.
And the familiars are, or excuse me, the creeps are always kind of pushing in. Backdoor protection is just not something that's real reliable. Here they come. Round 2, it's going to be real close. They're losing a lot of their damage. And yeah, it's not going to be enough.
I mean, they can go back in for another round. Your Tinker's not going to be able to take them down as quickly because it's not going to refract the laser, obviously.
I was about to say, Tinker's not sticking around to laser that, so looks like they will take it.
Yeah, and instead, this is the movement up for high ground.
Yeah,
they got those buybacks. Burning, they're there. They forced the glyph. They haven't bought back yet on the Alchemist. It looks like the call is for tier 4s. That is a really bold move here.
They need to force this buyback from Alchemist.
Okay, Bobica there as well. They get swapped back in. He tried to go in. He's down low. He's not inside and burrowed up, but they have been able to jump on the Venge here.
This is huge.
This is a buyback on No Tail. They're rooting Jarex, trying to kill him off. He's forced after the low ground as well, trying to kill off OP as well. There's the silence. He's able to take it off. Can he start spamming out all of this damage? They're lacking damage so much right now, and Alchemist is about to come back up and be online.
They swap back a Lifestealer. He's out of position now. There's no way he can make it down from this, I don't think.
Bernie trying desperately to latch onto something. Actually invests inside of a creep. He's going to stay alive there. Now OP is on top of Ana. Can they kill him off? He's going to be taken down. Fly is there. They reflect back the Soul Assumption, but it doesn't matter. Buying back on OP. He wants to get into the fight. Burning to survive through all of this. Has been able to stun Ana. Can they kill him off? No. They've got so much damage coming out from OP. Oh, but he's going to be controlled. S4 found him. It was enough. OG has done it, I do believe. Everybody dead for hundreds of seconds.
Yeah, it was a good attempt. IG, they had to go down mid. They knew they just couldn't play against the Siege game anymore, so They went down mid. They forced this fight. I love even the like potential call for tier 4s and that sort of thing, because you had to force that Alchemist buyback and then see what happens. Like, it gives you a win condition. Like, if you kill either one of these cores, you can probably win. But ultimately, it was just not enough.
Well, and the thing, too, about that just, like, Sue completely blew my mind was the constant answers with the Venge. And I think that we're seeing more and more. This is a hero that you have to think about. You've got to be prepared for, because